What do you want to talk about? Rugby?
Well, I think that'd be a good idea.
I think we should save the greatest thing until later.
Yeah, although people should message in their greatest five players.
I mean, Carsten has already said, let's all vote for Sir Kev to make the joke real, which is a bit harsh. Yeah. Well, we'll get on to that in a bit.
It has not been done by the RFL, as I was politely reminded in a message.
It's under their 125th birthday celebration.
Yeah,
so
tweeted from their account.
It is something that they've instigated.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's like nobody's owned up to why the 5 choices were on the statue, have they?
No.
Because you can't. You know what? Right, here's the thing.
You're not have said that they've gone, right, Neil Fox, whatever happens, Neil Fox is on it.
Especially as we messed up with the statue.
Whatever happens, however you do it, he's on it. He's on it.
All right, we're going on this now, aren't we? So
we'll have to mention it.
Right. I mean, you could make an argument that Neil Fox isn't Wakefield's greatest ever player, and you could say it's Jonty Parkins. That's fine. The problem with this whole thing is, as with anything you put to the public, because the public are going to vote on this now, and like the statue, all the Wigan fans will vote for all the Wigan people. So it'll be someone from Wigan or something, or Leeds will vote for Kevin Simpson because they're all from Leeds, or Ellery Hanley. So it's not actually the right answer, because the right answer will be given by people who are genuine historians of the sport and know about everything from 1895 onwards and can judge. You can't judge players in different eras against
each other. Is it impossible, Mr.?
It's impossible with 5.
Yeah.
You can't narrow any sport. You couldn't do it with football, table tennis, America. You cannot pick 5 people.
No.
You can't compare across different eras because the rules of the sport have changed. So again, how can you say that somebody in an era where the game was specific would be transcending all the other eras?
How do we know that Billy Boston could have done it on a wet Thursday night in Salford? We don't know.
In 1895.
Would Tom Johnston have scored all those tries if the corner flag was still in place?
Yeah, exactly.
In Super League, we have had full-time professionalism, which has changed the game. Up to 1906, we played rugby union.
Yeah.
There were some great players in the opening 10 years of the sport, but they were all playing the same rules as rugby union. So you cannot compare. So don't do it. What would have made sense in the 125th year, as a celebration of a 125-year-old birthday in August, would be to have your 125 best players, maybe. And then every team could have had 5.
Yeah.
And
as voted for by their own fans.
Yeah. So it would have been you're not saying anybody's better than anybody else. You're just saying here's a list of 125 players who've made a discernible contribution to the sport.
Yeah.
So what was the criteria? These 125 super fans, which is a terrible name to give people anyway, because most people who call themselves super fans are complete morons who give themselves that title because they think they're better than everyone because they go to every game, which is not necessarily the reason why someone's a fan. However, what categorises these players as the greatest? How, on a list of 5, like Wally Lewis is on there, right, who played 10 games in this country for Wakefield Trinity.
But then is
it Australian career?
Well,
if you're Darren Lockyer, Jonathan Thurston...
Well, if you're opening it up to the greatest players who've ever played, forget the 5 here.
Kev's nowhere near this, is he? And there's no disrespect to Kevin Sinfield.
How can you do it?
It turns into, well, Kevin Sinfield won all these trophies at Leeds. Yes, he did, but he had a great team around him. And if you are a great player in a bad team, or a great player in a team which isn't going to win anything, someone close to us may well have been a great player in a team which wasn't going to win anything because all the best players were somewhere else. That doesn't mean you're a better player. Ryan Bailey's got loads of medals because he was in a great Leeds side, but it doesn't mean he's the greatest prop forward of all time. And there are no forwards in this list. It's almost as if the forwards are irrelevant. So all the pretty boys
there is a flaw in who is making the selection, but even bigger than that, there is a flaw in the fact that we don't know the criteria.
Yeah.
So that if you've got a Hall of Fame, be it the RFL or at a club, normally the first thing you do is decide who would be eligible to be in that Hall of Fame. Therefore, how many games did they play? Blah blah blah. Whatever it is becomes immutable over time. So that you don't choose it, they choose themselves by their record. We've gone 125 people who are supporters of the game, pick 5 names. Well, there's clearly going to be nobody from the annals of history, because you're going to pick the people you've seen or you know about. Well, that's not representative, is it?
If you were to pick the greatest Wakefield Trinity side of all time, and I don't know enough about the history of the club to say it otherwise, you'd probably pick the team of the 60s and put Jonty Parkins in there and maybe Dave Topless as well. Because there's no one else since has done anything that would get in there. But I just don't know. I wonder if they've done it on purpose. in a sense that you stick Kevin Sinfield in there, and again, this sounds like a Kevin Sinfield witch hunt, and it's not. He's one of the great captains of this era, and that's been proven. But you put him in there, and everyone immediately goes on social media, which is a cesspit, we know this, to immediately flag up this, and then everyone's talking about it. It's given them lots of publicity.
If it's to generate interest in the 125th birthday of Rugby League, fine. But if that's all it is, just say that's all it is. Don't make out it's a genuine attempt to find five of the greatest players worldwide who ever played the sport.
A public poll will never find the right answer because they don't have the knowledge.
No, and that's it's right. It's mission impossible, but being handled very badly, I think. Very badly. Now let's know if you have to pick one of your from your own club, the one greatest player you've seen, you've heard about, whatever. Tell us who it is.
And virtually every club now has a heritage group.
Yeah.
Now, not everybody on that heritage group necessarily is a professor of sports history, but what they have got is an intimate knowledge of the history of the club. If you went to each of the club's heritage groups and said, give us your top 5 players across the years, you've got something pretty representative then of the sport. And if you then go to historians, of which we know quite a few that you would say are eminent, and say we're going to open it to worldwide, so we clearly have to have the Dally Messengers in there because without them there wouldn't be a sport to talk about. You will get a representative selection of the players who've made the greatest impact on the sport, most of whom will have done that on the field and their record would speak for themselves. Some of them will be people that changed the course of the sport.
Johnson
and they are as important.
Changed the transfer market. He was John Mark Bosman 100 years before Bosman existed. Well, not quite.
What, so where did Wakefield nick him from then?
No, he bought out of his contract at Wakefield to go to Hull KR because Wakefield wasn't playing.
So he's a traitor and you want to vote for him?
Because he's one of the greatest players ever in the history of my club. Mind you can't leave things to the public because Wakefield's team of the last decade had one glaring example of a player in there who should be nowhere near the greatest of anything. No, not Big Dave. His predecessor. They are doing
Michael Cook-Edon.
Indeed. They're doing a lot of... Yeah, he was in the team of the decade.
I wonder if he's going to... Is he going to play for Greece in the forthcoming World Cup at the age of 50?
Well, we can only hope, can't we? Especially if you're England. If you Sean Wayne, you're thinking sign
I think Greece needs to be at the Mobile Rocket Stadium then, if that's the case.
Epic game, wouldn't it? Have you seen the other lists of 125 things they're looking... Well, no. The list of the greatest things over 125 years. So we've got the greatest player. They're going early with the biggest one. So here's the rest. Number 2, greatest try. Wide to West.
It's got to be.
Wide to West.
It has to be, doesn't it?
Or Jonathan
that
Davis
was
at
the
Wembley.
sports Aguero.
Well, the thing is, right, you've got that. You've got Jonathan Davis at Wembley. You've got Martin Fire at Wembley. But we don't know any tries from the old days because they're not on video.
Yeah.
Because video wasn't invented. Yeah. Greatest coach. John Boney. Because he won all the things at Wigan. Ian Millward.
You've got to define the difference between trainer and coach because we didn't have coaches. That's a modern concept.
Greatest team. It's going to be Wigan, isn't it? Because all the Wigan fans.
Well, is it worldwide though? Again, like the.
Well, so it's just Australia. 1970 to 2019. Yeah. Greatest Challenge Cup final moment. There's only 2. There are only 2.
Nathan Graham not catching that high ball.
Poor old dog.
I saw him the other day, Nathan. Nathan Graham didn't catch it, did he?
Did you cry when you saw it?
You know what the dispiriting thing? You know what the dispiriting thing about that was is when you sat at the other end. It was at the old Wembley. It was at the old Wembley, wasn't it? And you just see all the Saints fans jump up. And this thing, I can't remember, but it felt like they scored about 4 tries in 10 minutes. I think it was something like that.
It was, I think.
And it was like, jeez. I just remember going back to the hotel. I was stunned. We were all like stunned at what we thought we'd won and then didn't win.
Some of the other players before I get back to the list of people who should be on the list, or people think they should be on the list: Martin Afire, Peter Sterling, Lewis Jones, Scully, Mal Meninga, Frank Myler, Kurt Sorensen, Willie Horn, Gus Risman, Paul Sculthorpe, post 1995. Plenty of names out there which all, if they were on the list, you'd go.
It's made some fantastic players, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't, some brilliant ones, really.
So elsewhere on the list, greatest shock, Sheffield.
Yeah, that was good. I was there for that.
Greatest game, 85 cup final. Because I'm just giving out the stock answers here that people are going to come up with straight. I don't know. Greatest Ashes moment. Not been one in my lifetime.
No.
So I don't know.
No.
That seems a bit of a very narrow category to go for, especially in the.
When was the
50
last
years
Ashes test?
That we won.
No, when was the last one? In
Uh,
actual, not in a World Cup, or trying to. When was the last series?
Was it 2003 or something?
yeah. We Tri-Nations was 2005, wasn't it? So it would be
2001 we
the
played.
2003 series where Great Britain lost every game in the last 6 minutes.
Yes, the series in which Morley got sent off in the first.
And David Waite was the coach, and nobody said he can't because he's Australian, because we very nearly beat
Picked
the
all the second
Australians.
rowers. So their greatest Ashes moment is Adrian Morley, because I can't think of any others. So tweet the RFL. No, don't tweet the RFL.
No, I don't.
The results of each greatest poll will be revealed in a series of short films, exclusively for our league members and on Twitter. So it's not
Presumably that's why nobody can be nominated who we haven't got film of.
85 males and 40 females make up the 125 superfans panel.
It'll be like fantasy football. They'll do a Phoenix from the Flames. We'll reenact.
Recreate.
Yes, John
We'll
T.
reenact.
Park inside
Yeah.
for
Play
Waite.
are you wearing? Play are you wearing? The
Yeah.
youngest superfan is 18. Now, no, this is 16. Now, no disrespect to a 16-year-old.
What do they know?
I don't know anything. I'm nearly 40. I don't know everything.
No.
The oldest is nearly 90. They support 35 different clubs. One can hope that Blackpool Borough are in there and stuff. It's a good idea, but as with everything,
It's been really
But
poorly
look,
done.
make it 125 of everything.
Yeah.
Don't make it 5.
going back to that briefly, because I was reminded of this earlier, and the internet is full of everything's on the internet, but it's not. I've mentioned this before. There was a series on Channel 4 in the 90s called "Who is the Greatest?" or whatever. Looking for who is the greatest sportsman of all time. Hosted by one of our great colleagues, Danny Kelly, and they had all these people on there. I can't remember who they were debating because there's no record of it online. But it ends up that the greatest sportsman of all time was Daley Thompson, who was one of the consultants on the programme. I reckon Kev's put his name on this list as his last parting shot when he was leaving.
He knows the code.
He got onto the internet and said, right, delete that one, delete that.
Who do you reckon he deleted?
Gary
That's the
Schofield.
thing,
Right.
yeah.
There he is, Sir Kev, he's on there. Sir Kevin
Yeah.
Timfield.
I'm off now, lads. I'll see you later.
Oh, really joking.
Just handed him the car keys, but I kept the password.
Well, really joking.
Yeah. Oh well, some random tweets appearing.
It was him all along.